Good morning. Let's do some prayers and then we'll start our class, Wednesday class. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Bhur Bhavaswa, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityurma Gamya. Om Sehna Bhavatu, Sehna Bhunaktu, Sehviryam Karvavahe, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti 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 Om. So these days we have been talking about our enemies, enemies of a sadhak, a practitioner, a person who has decided that goal of life is liberation. So these are the enemies for that person. These are not the enemies for a person who wants to be popular in this world. Our goal is materialism. The goal is name and fame. So these are not enemies for that kind of a person. So these are the enemies for sadhak. Our rishis, they listed 6 enemies for us, and we have already seen the first one, kam. That means the material desires. Krodh, anger. Lobh, greed. And then last week we talked about mad, the pride, the ego. Okay. Today we are going to talk about the 5th enemy, which is called Moha. The term Moha is usually defined as delusion or an obscuring of reasoning. But delusion has many implications. In the highest philosophical sense, it is moha that causes the unenlightened mind to perceive a world of multiplicity, when in reality, nothing exists other than the non-dual Brahma, the absolute self. It is the moha that causes the mind to ignore the blazing reality of divine glory that permeates all and to become stuck to names and forms, to ignore the ocean but become attached to the waves. Moha does that. Moha makes us ignore the sky and become attached to the little clouds. Moha causes the mind to be caught up by apparent values of family and society, and then to feel completely confined to those values and also the circumstances. It is moha that causes you to view yourself as an individual completely dependent on your family or friends, and to feel that your joy completely depends upon them and also theirs upon you. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse number 13, Bhagavan Krishna speaks about the deluding power of the 3 guns. And he called it a moha. He said, Tribhir gunamer bhaver ebhi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabhi janati mam ebhya param avyam. He said, deluded by these three modes of nature, all this world does not know me, who am different from them and immutable. So clearly he is telling us this moha is an enemy of a sadhak, spiritual aspirant. We want to see God. We want to unite with God. But moha in these three forms of the gunas does not let us. Tribhir gunamer bhaver. So this world is created by the blend of three guns: sattva, rajas, and tamas. On the psychological plane, when you become calm, relaxed, and you are aware of the divine presence, there is a sattva in your mind. When mind becomes free of anger, hate, greed, and the mind is filled with the divine qualities, a window of eternity opens within your heart. You discover a mysterious source of inner peace. At that time, sattva beckons you to that. When you are agitated and distracted, unable to be one-pointed, filled with ambitious, you are hypocritical or even ostentatious, rajas is predominating in your personality. When you become prone to irrationality, bitterness, frustration, pervasive pessimism, anger, hate, and your mind loses all spiritual sensitivity, at that time, tamas has taken over your mind. All three of the gunas, that means sattva, rajas, and tamas, are thieves. They attack the soul and they rob it of its glory and majesty. The thief that develops compassion towards the soul is definitely sattva. He can lead us to liberation, but that is as far as he can go. On the other hand, when rajas and tamas dominate your mind, the deluding force of maya or cosmic illusion increases and moha swells up. And everything is colored by that illusion, that maya. On the other hand, when sattva increases, the deluding force of maya diminishes. That's why we are encouraged to live more and more sattvic life. Still, a sattvic person is under the grip of maya, but its a veil is thinner. We can start seeing the light of the soul and the divinity when we live with sattvic life. Maya has two aspects, avidya and vidya. Avidya is ignorance and vidya is knowledge. So avidya drives you into more and more ignorance, increased involvements in the world of time and space. It keeps you bound to thinking of the past or even planning for the future. Under avidya's sway, you don't even have a moment's rest, nor the peace of mind to transcend your ego. You cannot discover the joys of eternity when avidya predominates, the ignorance. While avidya holds you down in the world of relativity, the other aspect of Maya, Vidya, lifts you up. Avidya keeps you horizontal, always pressured by the past, moving towards the future. The knowledge or the Vidya gives you a vertical lift. Choice is ours. Do we want to just keep on going horizontally or do we want to ascend vertically? Spiritual knowledge enables you to rise above the limited world of time and space and transcend it. That is vertical lift. In order to escape the delusive aspect of Maya, in order to get out of the world of time and space, sattva has to be promoted and rajas and tamas have to be controlled and sublimated. Moha and mamata. You have heard these terms? The sense of mineness, that is mamata. Mine. This is mine. Mamata. Put shackles on the feet of your soul. Bound by moha and mamata, the soul that could have experienced infinity and eternity becomes confined instead to the small circumstances and also the small circumference of its attachment in the realm of time and space. All we see is whatever is in front of us. All we get attached to is our families and friends and objects. Moha and mamata. Let me explain it to you with the help of this beautiful story. Once a king had a pet hawk that used to fly freely, and he really enjoyed its freedom. In the course of its daily flight, the hawk began to perch upon the hut of an old woman. The lady in that little hut used to have some fragrant heart cookings, and she would open the window and talk to the hawk. Come to me, I will feed you, and I'll keep you warm. You must be feeling very cold out there. At first, the hawk was merely amused by her soft words and would fly off after a brief rest. As days passed, however, he began to think how cozy it must be inside the hut. It really is cold out here, and maybe I do deserve a little extra warmth. And surely it would be so nice to have someone take care of me. So, with these thoughts in his mind, the hawk flew through the window into the old lady's hut. Immediately, the old lady caught the hawk and tied its legs so well that he could not slip out into the wilderness. Then she began to feed the hawk some of her delicacies. For an hour or so, the hawk felt very comfortable. Soon, however, he began to think of the freedom that he used to have. This is the story of our self, the soul. Meanwhile, the king began to miss his hawk and he embarked on a search mission. As he passed the little hut in the forest, he looked through the window. He saw his pet hawk with his legs tied. He cried out. He said, "Oh, little hawk, what misery have you brought upon yourself by your delusion?" That is more. Like the hawk in this story, us, the human spirit, which is always essentially beyond all confines. That is the nature of our soul, the self, the spirit, Atma, whatever we call it. Repeatedly, we accept a condition of limitation. These limitations are called upadhis. This body is a upadhi, limitation. Mind is upadhi. Intellect is upadhi. Ego is upadhi. All these are limitations. This is like a cage. Even though the spirit, the soul is eternal, ever free, but it got caught. The great message of all spiritual teaching is that you have a choice. You can either keep ducking into the stream of ignorance, avidya, and move from illusion to illusion, or you can enter the stream of knowledge and recapture your essential identity as the divine self. Choice is ours. As an enlightened soul, you can have that freedom. That is your essential nature. But as an individualized soul, Jivatma, which is called, we become wedded to our ego. We get involved in the world of Moha and Mamata, delusion and mine, and spend our years struggling to find solutions for problems in the world of time and space, where there are no permanent solutions for anything. Because this world, which is made out of Prakriti, by nature it keeps on changing. Nothing stays the same. Because this is the nature. At our individual bodily level, we can understand very easily. One day this body is healthy. One day it was young. Maybe not anymore. If it gets sick, it can get better also. We have seen the wealthiest people getting very poor, and very poor people, paupers, they can become kings also. Everything changes. That's the nature. Absorbed in Moha's empire. And what is that empire made up of? Your family, your friends, and material possessions. That is the empire of Moha. That's why we say that my wealth, my house, my possessions, my children, my, constantly. You find it natural to think that these are the only things of important. As a result, you live only for these perishable things, not realizing that you are essentially the spirit, which is beyond time and space. We have come here in this beautiful human body to realize this, but we forget this goal because of Moh. That's why this Moh is an enemy. Shatru, Ripu, whatever you want to call it. Through spiritual sadhana, however, you eventually develop vairagya and realize that everything will pass away. Nothing that you depend upon can be dependable all the time. The key word is all the time. Only thing you can depend all the time is God. Do we pay enough attention to that? The presence of divinity in us, around us, everywhere. If we can move away from the moha, only then we can work on that. 24 hours in a day, how many minutes or the seconds or the moments we think of that? And how many hours we waste thinking about our family, our body, our possessions, our house, our position, our fame, name. That's all more. In each embodiment, you view yourself as born into a particular family with a particular history of prosperity and adversity. As you grow, you build your own empire of family and friends. But when you die and move on to another embodiment, all those realities are forgotten and new ones take place. That's why in our arti also, at the end, we remind ourselves God is our mother, God is our father, God is our friend, God is our wealth, God is our knowledge. Every day we sing that. Tvamev mata cha pita tvamev, tvamev bandhus cha sakha tvamev. Worldly mothers and fathers, sure, we need to take care of them. But not at the cost of forgetting our eternal father and mother. Worldly wealth, we got to take care of it. We live in this, but not at the cost of that ultimate wealth, which is our relationship with God. Because we are part of that whole. In Yoga Vashishta, which we are studying on the Mondays classes, there is a story of two brothers. The names of those brothers are Punya and Pavan. These two were the sons of very saintly parents. When their parents died, grief invaded their minds, which is natural for most of the human beings. Punya was older and had studied the Vedic scriptures. He began to reflect upon the teachings that he had received from his father, and he attained enlightenment. So he did not sink into the sorrow and the depression. He remembered the truth. He did the sadhana instead. On the other hand, the other brother Pavan could not give up his grief. So his older brother, showering his compassion, said, "Oh, my brother, why are you grieving? You are grieving for our departed parents. But what about the parents of your previous embodiments? You should be grieving for 1,000 fathers and 1,000 mothers then. We have not lost just one father and one mother. In every embodiment, there were parents who were just as dear. Why aren't you grieving for all of them? In other words, in each of your thousands of embodiments, you had so many people you loved and depended upon, so many who depended upon you. Then, when you moved out of each embodiment, you left these realities completely behind. Breaking the spell of delusion is the purpose of existence. So that means getting out of these mesh or the net of Moha. That is the purpose. If we don't do that, there is no enlightenment, if that is the goal for you. Unless you break it, you cannot enjoy the blessings of God that pour down at every moment in this world. This umbrella of Moha keeps us getting close to that blessing. Divine grace pours down like monsoon rains. But if the cup of your heart is inverted due to Moha, not a single drop goes into it. You can imagine. Even if you made a great tea and the cup is inverted, all that tea is just being wasted. And this is what happens to us. Straighten it up. And surely you will find your cup run over. That sound of your spirit overflowing with divine grace is the most beautiful sound imaginable. No matter what happens outside in this world, you will be doing your duties. You will take care of the things. But internally, you're always filled with the divine grace and the presence of grace. If you can let go of this delusion more. In chapter 7 again of Bhagavad Gita, verse 14, Lord Krishna says that this divine Maya of mine is composed of three gunas. Is very difficult to cross over. Devi hi eshaha gunmei mammaya duratyaha. This is my Maya, but it's very difficult to cross over. But there is a beautiful but in there. Those who surrender to me, they alone are able to cross it. So Devi hi esha gunmei maya duratyaha mam evye prapadyante mayam etam trantite. We cannot say that we are going to stay in delusion under the grip of Moha and we are going to surrender also. It doesn't work that way. Either we surrender to this Maya or we surrender to God. Choice is ours. Because of Moha, you turn away from the divine. Although the divine is the very fabric of the universe, the very reality behind all things. Nothing can exist without divinity. It's the substratum. It is the dharam of great importance in overcoming moha is satsanga. Saint Tulsidas says, without satsanga, that means without the company of the Satpurusha, without the company of the realized person, without the company of Satguru. That's what satsang means. Sat and sang. Without satsang and without listening to the glory of God, moh will not be driven away. He says moh continues. And if moh does not move away from you, you do not reach the divine abode and you do not enjoy profound devotion. So overcoming moha requires a profound process of yoga. This yoga sadhana is that important. That includes devotion to God, repetition of divine name, good association, meditation, profound reflection, selfless service. And a great change in your attitude towards others. And the attitude is, we are all one. Our bodies are different. Our names are different. Sure, at the level of form, we look different. We could be speaking different language, but essentially we are all one. If this attitude is not changed, this moh will keep gripping us. So you already, I'm sure, you have all these in your daily life. Because these are the fundamental elements of spirituality. If we call ourselves that we are on the path of spirituality, the devotion to God is needed. But to remember God in every breath of ours, whichever name is dear to us, but remembering Him with the help of that name. Keeping the good company is very important. The company we keep makes a big difference in our own personality. Of course, the meditation where we try to transcend these limitations, these upadhis, consciously. We are in the body, but for a few minutes a day, remembering that I am not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. We should do some studies and reflect upon those studies. And selfless service is extremely important. That's where we connect with others, we give back to this nature. And at the end, I said the great change in our attitude towards others. Can we see the same God in everybody? While loving or serving a family member or friend, try to understand that you are worshiping God through that person. Be grateful that you have been given the opportunity and the strength, whether to cook somebody, clean somebody, read to somebody, give a ride to somebody, talk to somebody, let somebody cry on your shoulder. Be thankful that you were chosen. The idea that he is my son and she is my daughter should not cripple our mind. That's why the true saintly people, when we talk to them, what do they say? All the children in the universe, they are my children. I'm not childless. The whole universe is my family. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Those are the words from the Vedas. Instead of thinking my family, your family, no, this is our family. Through every soul you serve, you are serving God. Through every wave, you are looking at the ocean. As these attitudes develop, you make decisive strides towards breaking the fetters of Moha. We are winning against this powerful enemy of ours when we do all this. Because we got to have a strategy. The bigger the war, the stronger the enemy, the better strategy we should have. And this is the strategy our gurus, our rishis, they have given it to us. Very doable. But ultimately, doing we have to do, they cannot do for us. They will not do it for us. Even God will not do it for us. This we must do. In your zeal to break these fetters, be careful not to break the moha of others with a hammer. We are here to work on ourselves. Be gentle towards the delusion of others and do not force them to give it up, although you may try to persuade them in a loving manner to do so. Because we have families and the friends. When we are on this path, sometimes conversations happen. We should be very careful. However, have no respect for your own delusion. Get the biggest hammer possible and go on breaking it down. So that means we got to be very vigilant, very strong with our delusion. We got to break it down in this lifetime.
We got disconnected.
Actually, I think your computer is frozen.
Yeah, her screen is frozen.
Yeah.
Hershey.
Maybe she can't.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone.
I
Rita,
thought it was my computer, but I think hers is fine.
Rita, can you make a phone call to Hershey?
Maybe she's trying to reconnect. Yeah. Yeah,
Who thinks she knows already?
yeah, I'm sure.
I think she knows. She must be trying. She was at the tail end of her talk anyways.
So all of us need to buy a hammer and
And be vigilant.
Ah,
I think, Rita, you should stop the recording.
it's 11:14. Oh.
she's there.
But she came back.
Yeah.
But the phone is not working.
Okay. Yeah.
Why don't you sing, Rita?
Okay. Hold it. Okay. Okay. No, that's okay. It's not your fault. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was almost towards the end.
You're muted too, Hershey.
Okay. Thank you. Sure. Okay. Bye. Okay. Hershey just called.
Rita,
She did.
recording is still on.
Oh, it's still on?
Yeah.
Can you talk, Hershey?
Yes, I can talk now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe then you can finish the
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think I did finish it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was done. I was just ending the recording at that time.
Okay.
So after the hammer, there is nothing else to say?
No, there's nothing else. Yeah.
After time,
Yes, that's right. Someone was paying attention.
hammer will destroy everything.
Actually, your recording is still
Now,
on.
what kind of hammer? Steel hammer, plastic hammer?
Ah,
It's up to you, whatever hammer you want to take. Pramila, what are you saying? Recording is still on, Hershey. Oh, really? Okay, all right. Let me just stop recording.